some top tips on how to look after your fireplace.
Spring has officially sprung, so it's time for us to start thinking about our fireplaces, how we're going to start cleaning them, maintaining them, so that they're ready to go by the time we hit next autumn.
And now is the time of year when we really started to think about doing all of our annual maintenance to our fireplace as well. So that's things like getting the chimney sweep in, really giving it a good deep clean inside and all the way around the outside. We've got 2 wood burning stoves and we have baskets that carry the wood and the kindling and our fire lighters around both of the fireplaces just for convenience. And we've also got a little set of tools that we use as well to manage our fireplaces. We were very tempted to go out and buy kind of those swanky sets of fireplace tools. When we asked some of the neighbors and friends around the area, they all said, no, we really don't, and it's kind of a bit unnecessary. So don't feel bad if you don't have the budget or you don't have a set of tools at the beginning. It's really not a big deal at all. Typically what you need is a brush. And the best brushes that I have found is the actual old wallpaper pasting brushes because they've got the natural bristles in them. They're really beautifully soft. They're nice and thin. You can just brush away the actual ash around the fireplace really easily. I think I paid £2 a brush and they'll last you for decades. And then, as crazy as this sounds, I actually just have an old trowel, a garden hand tool trowel. It was my grandfather's, so it's sentimental to me. It's got the old wooden handle and then the metal kind of scoopy bit. It's the perfect size, perfect shape, and to have that in the basket next to the fireplace is just really nice.
You're right, they're really practical because they're actually quite deep, so the deeper they are, the better.
Yeah.
Because you can really get in there and just scoop that ash forward towards yourself, put it into a bucket, as you said, if it's cold. But it's just so practical and easy to do.
And then in our other fireplace, I have actually purchased a fire pit shovel. It's quite a lot bigger, it's black, and it's actually got a flat base. I've got to say that is better for our bigger wood burning stove because it literally just takes 2 scoops and you've got all the ash off the bottom of the fireplace. But it is quite big and bulky, so you do have that kind of on the side, so you know there's no kind of hiding that, so to speak. That's probably the only fire tool that we've actually purchased that is a fire tool, so to speak. One absolute must by the fireplace is a really good, safe pair of leather fire gloves. These are an absolute essential and something you can't skimp on. You want something that's really good quality, well made, and that's going to last you for years and obviously protect your hands.
So on the subject of ash disposal, for us, it's probably the easiest way to dispose of it on our compost heap.
Yeah, in the garden.
I think a lot of people don't actually realize just how rich in potassium ash actually is. You've got fruit trees, great to just put on the base of trees. And if you've got any flowering plants that just need that extra potassium shot, it's always good to just sprinkle a bit of ash down at the base of that particular plant. I will say though that if you have got a stream or a pond nearby or any waterway, be careful about getting any ash into that because it does actually affect ecosystems. So just make sure that it goes under the plants or into the compost heap directly and just keep it away from the water course.
Only use it in small amounts.
Yeah, and because we only use natural firewood, natural fire lighters and natural kindling, that's okay to go onto our compost heap that we're actually going to use to put on our vegetables. But if you use treated wood or anything that's got chemicals in it, don't put that onto a compost heap. And you've got a fantastic use for ash for actually cleaning the glass inside the wood burning stove.
The previous owners had left all the firewood inside the wood burning stove, so we just came in and lit it. It was a nice gesture from their side. Unfortunately, what they had used was the wrong type of wood. It was still very damp and wet. The glass blackened almost instantly. When I Googled it, the best thing that you can use is actually ash. You just have to use the white ash. So it has to be that real, completely white, fluffy, almost like a snowflake kind of ash. And you just scoop that off the top layer of your ash pile and you just add that to a little bit of water with some kitchen roll, and that creates a paste. And then you just wipe that all over your glass and then use a clean damp cloth to wipe over it, which will wipe it away, and then a dry cloth to just dry it off and make sure that your glass is completely dry and clean. And I can't tell you, it saves you a fortune in cleaning stuff, and it is also a really great way to use your ash. I know it sounds silly, but really make sure that it is absolutely stone cold, that there are absolutely no embers. So just be really, really cautious of that. And then once you know that it's nice and cold, just make sure you're transporting that ash into a metal container. Don't be tempted to go and just get a gardening bucket, a plastic bucket or something and put it into that. You could potentially damage that. We use a metal bucket, cheap as chips, a little bit rusty on the outside, we don't care. And it's just metal, which is great. And it's safe, and we can just bring it in and just empty all the ash into it. And then we can just go outside and tip it out wherever we want to get rid of the ash. But always just use a metal container.
And who knew, it's also a really good deodorizer. So you can actually put it into a shallow bowl, put it into a room where there's a bit of an odor, for example, and that actually helps to absorb that odor. You do have to replace it quite frequently though, because it does actually absorb that odor quite quickly. So replacing it quite frequently will actually remove smells.
And then of course you also want to just think about your fire safety. So for example, if you've got a wood burning stove, then make sure that there's nothing touching that wood burning stove that's potentially flammable. If you've got an open fireplace, make sure you've got a really good, solid, stable, sturdy screen, spark screen, so just in case you get any hot embers that come out at you, you know that that's going to prevent anything sparking onto carpets or rugs or anything like that. And then we just regularly check our flue. We check around the fireplace, make sure that there's nothing that's like looking dodgy, cracked, open, because over time things can just get a little bit loose. Every 3 or 4 months you just want to be having a good look around your entire fireplace just to make sure that everything looks like it's in good order.
And while you're doing that, it's probably also a good idea to just make sure that your smoke detectors are working.
Yeah.
And if you've got a carbon monoxide monitor in the room, also make sure that those batteries are fully recharged and that the unit is working.
And then we come on to actually keeping our wood burning stove clean and the flue clean and the chimney clean by getting our chimney sweep in. We have an excellent chimney sweep. He's absolutely brilliant. You want somebody that really is qualified as a chimney sweep, not just a handyman who just thinks that he can do chimney sweeping. For us, our chimney sweep will come in at the end of the winter and spring. So he'll come in probably around April, May time, and he'll just give the whole system a really good clean. He'll check everything for us. If you are burning things that are really not recommended, so for example, maybe just fresh wood from the garden that hasn't been seasoned, that is wet, I would highly recommend you get your chimney swept twice a year. So at the end of the winter and again in the autumn, because that will hopefully reduce any additional fire hazards. Our chimney sweep is very happy to just come in annually because we're very strict on what goes into our wood burning stoves. But just to let you know that if you are going to be using it for any additional things, then just maybe consider having it done twice a year.
And if you can, try and get a certified chimney sweep, because some home insurance policies actually require for that chimney to be swept by somebody that's qualified and certified.
It is very reassuring, and it makes sure that you're getting the best and most efficient burn out of your wood burning stove.
And then when he finishes cleaning our chimneys, he always does a smoke test, and that basically tests the airflow in the actual wood burning stove to know that everything is clean, that all the airflows are unclogged and actually everything is working as it should, so that when the autumn comes or the next winter and it's time to start up a new fire, you know that everything's good to go.
And then just as a final tip, which is completely optional, it is not a necessity at all, but you can get these little black fans. I think they're black. Ours is black, and it takes the heat from your fireplace, and that's what makes it start turning. We can all be dying of heat at the table, but then you're down this end of the kitchen and you can't feel any warmth at all. So what's really great about the fan is that you position it on a corner on top of the wood burning stove. Positioning is really critical to the fan working properly. Stick it on one of the corners on the back of the wood burning stove. Basically, it takes the heat from the top of the flue, and that's what gets the fan going. And then it pushes the heat. You really don't notice it. It doesn't make any noise. You can't hear it or anything like that. And you really do notice a big difference. So within about 20 minutes of the fan naturally turning by itself, you'll notice that the temperature across the whole room is the same. They're really convenient and we really love them.
And one thing I'll add to that is that if you have got one of these on your fireplace and it doesn't always start despite it getting really hot around the fireplace, take your finger and just give it a little bit of a push. Once it gets going, then it starts to spin and it keeps on going. But we actually are going to do a little test on this probably in the autumn, because I'm a little bit skeptical. I do tend to think that they do work.
No, I think it definitely works. Yeah, it really does make a big difference having that little fan going in here.
but we'll try and have a little test anyway.
So by following these tips, we hope that you'll find that your fireplace gives you warmth, coziness, ambience, and stays safe for many years to come.
And if you've got any additional good tips, or if you know of a good chimney sweep in your neck of the woods, pop it in the comment below so that other people can actually benefit from that.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.